Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sravni, and I'm delighted to be your MC for today's event, the NTU College of Science Career Talk. This is an annual event that showcases the diverse career opportunities that NTU science degrees can offer, and the relevant skills that NTU has equipped our students with. The previous career talks have been fully virtual due to the pandemic, but this year's talk is finally allowing us to meet in person. As a second year student from the College of Science myself, I'm as excited as you are to meet the alumni speakers as they are also my seniors. Before we start, I would like to remind you to kindly keep your handphones on silent mode throughout the event. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Now, let's invite Prof. Chong Yidong, the Associate Chair of Students, to give a short introduction on the College of Science, NTU Singapore.
Thanks everyone for coming today. My name is Chong Yidong. I'm a physics professor at the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences at the College of Science in NTU. So today I'm just going to give you a very brief introduction to what it's like to study at the College of Science. This is going to be very, very brief because I just want to kind of just lay the groundwork for the meat of the event, which is you hearing about the career opportunities. Okay, next slide, please. So just for those of you who are not familiar with the way the NTU is laid out. So NTU has a bunch of top-level divisions called colleges, okay? So the College of Science is the one that this event is organized by. And the College of Science, in turn, is subdivided into 4 schools. The Asian School of the Environment, the School of Biological Sciences, the School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering, and Biotechnology, which is new, just got established last year. And the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, where I'm from. Okay, next slide. So these are all the degree programs that are offered by the College of Science. I'm not going to run through all of them, but just for your information, the degree programs, okay, first of all, they're all listed on the webpage. Okay, so you can just visit ntu.edu.sg. That's a place for you. Just look around a little bit. There's a place where all the degree programs and their features are listed. The main thing I want to draw your attention to is that there are, roughly speaking, 4 kinds of degree programs. There's the single degree program where you go in, you come out with a degree in, for example, mathematical sciences, a degree in physics, or a degree in biological sciences, and so forth, okay? And also there are more challenging degrees, not necessarily better or worse, but they require more academic units. So there are the second major programs, for example, physics with second major in medical physics, or chemistry and biological chemistry with second major in food science and technology, and so forth. These are the ones that are listed in the middle of the slide. There are also double major programs, which are yet more challenging than the second major programs. This is roughly 1.75% of the workload of a regular single degree. Okay, and those are the double majors are in specific pairs of topics that are those that are shown there. Lastly, the double degree programs. The College of Science only has 1 double degree program. The double degree program, unlike a double major, you literally end up with 2 degrees when you come out of it, and that's the Chinese biomedical sciences with Chinese medicine program. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, let me just very quickly run through like I said, there are 4 schools. I'll quickly run through what the schools are and some of the interesting features of the schools. So first of all, the Asian School of the Environment. This covers the topics of basically the Earth, what are known as the Earth sciences. Okay, next slide. There are kind of 3 major specializations within that students in the Asian School of the Environment will have to pick. Geosciences, ecology and ecosystems, society and the Earth systems. Okay, and one of the very interesting aspects of doing your degree at the Asian School of the Environment is that all the undergrads get 1 and probably more chances to go on field trips to kind of either outside of Singapore to places like Bali and geologically interesting places to see where there are various specializations like the geosciences, ecology, and so forth play out in real life. We'll get to hear, I believe, some of that later on during the Q&A. Next slide. The School of Biological Sciences offers single degree programs in the biological sciences, as well as a bunch of second major and double major programs. Next. And one of the interesting things about this is that it has a curriculum that's very focused on hands-on learning. So all undergraduates are invited to participate in this so-called undergraduate advanced experimental biology program, which is held during the summer vacation, and it, basically they get the chance to be mentored hands-on and work in a real research biological lab. Next. Okay, so here, this slide, okay, so we have the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, and the School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering, and Biotechnology. So before last year, this was all just the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences. But the chemistry department basically split off and joined with chemical engineering to form the School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering, and Biotechnology. So this offers the programs in chemistry and biological chemistry, as well as chemical engineering. Okay, so this is a school that's under the College of Science umbrella, but it's also jointly run between the College of Science and the College of Engineering. So all kinds of chemistry-related disciplines are housed under this new school. And finally, we have the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, where I'm from, which involves the two core disciplines of physics and mathematics. Okay, next. So both the School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering, and Biotechnology, as well as the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, offer this thing called the Odyssey Research Program, which offers support for undergraduates who want to do research with a faculty member and full-time. Basically, during the summer break, you can we sponsor you, provide financial support to do full-time research. We also offer, next slide please, something interesting called the Cooperative Education Program, which is particularly relevant for some of you who are interested in careers. This is under the Singapore government's Skills Future Work Study Degree Program. Okay, so basically this is a placement program where students get to intern for every year at they choose one company, and subsequently every year they get to have advanced internship opportunities within that company to kind of build on their industry experience and learn more about how work is done within that company. We have a lot of participating companies that are available on our website, that can be viewed on our website. Okay, next slide. Okay, so something that applies to all of the schools that I have talked about here is the CN Young Scholars Program. For some of you who are especially high-performing students who are interested in doing research as part of your undergraduate experience, are particularly welcome to apply for this. This is basically a scholarship with a special curriculum. So people entering this scholarship program will have a special curriculum that's tailor-made for them to expose them to all of the sciences, particularly in the first and second years of study. They also get additional opportunities to do research with faculty members across the College of Science and to go on overseas research or education experiences. Okay, again, more information can be found on the website. Next. Okay, so at this point in this presentation, I can say something about, okay, science education is important for you to be placed in the workforce and so forth. But let me just skip this slide, because this is what you're going to be hearing about from our guests, our alumni guests, shortly. Next. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm going to skip this slide, but just main point I want to make is that our graduates from the College of Science, according to survey data, so this is actual information, not just our PR, okay? We actually know that they have found employment in a very, very wide range of employment opportunities across the economy, not just particular places that you might expect. Okay, some people still have this old mindset that, okay, if you study science, you have to be a science teacher. This is really not the case. We have our graduates go on into a very, very wide variety of careers, including at marquee employers, and you're going to hear some examples of this at this Q&A session later. Okay, next slide. Okay, so lastly, I would just like to say that the on-campus scene is a particular strength of NTU. We have great accommodation, and I believe your year one students actually have guaranteed accommodation to live on campus. Next slide. And we also have a lot of kind of shopping and a lot of kind of lifestyle locations on the campus. Those of you who are interested in this aspect of your undergraduate life are very much welcome to show up in person to inspect our facilities at the NTU Open House, which is going to be held on the 25th of February. Once again, go to www.ntu.edu.sg. Details about this open house will be found there. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this concludes my very brief presentation. Once again, after this event, those of you who are interested, please do show up for our NTU Open House. There will be a virtual open house on the 11th of February, where you can view talks, program talks, and so forth over the internet. But I very much encourage all of you who can and are willing to show up in person on the 25th of February. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Prof. Chong, for the introduction to the college. Today, we are pleased to have 5 alumni speakers with us who will be sharing their career experiences as well as their university life. First, we have Daniel, who graduated in 2012 with a chemistry and biochemistry degree and is now working as a senior scientist with Illumina. Next, we have Vicky, who graduated from the School of Biological Sciences in 2017 and is now a global accounts manager with TikTok. We have Kit Ying and Ko Hong, both of whom graduated during the pandemic in 2020. Kit Ying, who holds an environmental Earth Systems Science degree, is now a coastal protection planner with PUB, while Ko Hong, a physics graduate, is with GIC as a data engineer. Finally, we have Louisa, who graduated with a mathematics and economics degree in 2014. Louisa is now a vice president with Brandywine Global Investment Management. Thank you for taking the time to be with us here today and share your experiences with us. Let's not delay this any further and dive right into the questions. Prof. Chong, please feel free to add in your thoughts as well. So all of you clearly hold very admirable positions in your respective fields. What are some interesting details or fun facts about your work, and particularly how science is used in your line of work? Yeah, go ahead.
So maybe let me share a bit about myself first. Hi everyone, my name is Ko Hong. So I graduated from School of Physical and Mathematical Science in 2020 in Bachelor's of Physics. And following that, I actually joined a company called FDM Group, which is a software consulting company. And one of their clients was GIC. And I was placed at GIC to work in GIC. And then subsequently now, I'm actually a full-time staff at GIC. So maybe let me share a bit more about what I do at my work. I'm actually sitting in the data strategy group within GIC. So data strategy group mainly tries to promote data policies and managing data. So within this department, what I do is I manage the data platforms. So how does science come into play within my day-to-day is that, for example, when you are conducting analytics, when you want to do analytics on any data set, you will need to have a platform that is reliable and is able to give you timely results. So for me, I'm managing that platform. I will need to incorporate that platform into the existing ecosystem within the company. So some of the things that I have to think about is, for example, security, usability, and when users face problems, I'll have to resolve these problems together with the users. So how does science come into play is that when we are resolving problems, we will need to break down these problems into component parts, and then we resolve each part, and we are able to then give a complete solution. So for example, I'm managing a big data system called Hadoop. So when sometimes users will face certain problems like they are not able to connect, they are not able to get the data that they want. So what happens when that happens is that I will jump in and I will try and find out what is the root cause. And this root cause analysis is actually something that we use in science a lot. It's called scientific thinking. So you will do a lot of you will come up with a lot of hypotheses, and then you will test out your hypothesis, and if it's not what you thought it was, you will move on to the next hypothesis. So typically what happens is we will come in, we will think of the possible problems, we will slowly eliminate them based on whatever facts that we can find from our logs and whatever testing that we can do during that period. And then at the end of the day, what we want is we will be able to solve this problem for our users. So yeah, I think that's basically how science comes into play in my day-to-day.
Ko Hong. Any other takers?
Right, so I can go next. So my name is Daniel. I'm a senior scientist at Illumina. So science is really literally my job. So and I use science every single day. At Illumina, our mission is to improve human health by unlocking the power of the genome. And our business is in gene sequencing. So my job as a senior scientist is to make sure that we're always ahead of the game and that we keep up with the trends in industry, continuously generate ideas and make sure that our technology is as advanced as anyone else or even more so. So without sharing, going into too much detail, what I would say is that I'm lucky to be able to use all the knowledge that I've gained in NTU in terms of science, chemistry, but also biology, because you can take different modules, combine them to your liking, and I've been able to use all those knowledge even to this day. So I would say that science has been literally the bread and butter of what I do.
Yep, I can go as well. So good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Vicky, and for those who are celebrating Chinese New Year, Happy Chinese New Year to you first. So for me, I'm a graduate from the School of Biological Sciences, and for me, I took a different path. I'm not a scientist. I'm not doing the science degree. I'm not doing a science path. I'm actually in TikTok right now. That's why I'm wearing my TikTok shoes in my Converse. So I'm not sure if anyone here has the TikTok app or you guys have been scrolling TikTok. You might be thinking that this social media platform or this content platform is not really related to science. But I think for me, I actually find a commonality. So I'm in the APAC Global Accounts team, and I work with the industry experts of the beauty industries like L'Oreal, LVMH, Estee Lauder, as such. And all these products actually use ingredients that are very niched, very high quality ingredients that maybe only science degrees might know, for example, niacinamide or even hyaluronic acid. So these are things that as a client specialist for them, I will need to know what are their products about so that I can fit into their marketing campaigns. How can TikTok come into the picture to support them in their awareness campaigns? So this is something which I find a commonality, and not just on TikTok side. Previously, I was also in L'Oreal as my first job, and I think that also helped me gain knowledge and get into the beauty scene with this science background. So I think that is a commonality which I see in my career path with science.
Thank you, Vicky. So it clearly sounds like you all are kept on your toes in your jobs. So how would you say that the knowledge and skill sets that you have gotten from your degree program has equipped you and helped you in your career?
I can start first. So, hi everyone. My name is Kit Ing, and currently I'm working in PUB's Coastal Protection Department as a policy planner. So I'll just share a bit more about my work in PUB. we have just, in the recent few years, been conferred the new function of looking at coastal protection in Singapore. In other words, looking at solutions to how to protect our coastlines against sea level rise. So our work revolves around developing solutions as well as looking at R&D efforts to see what type of potential innovative solutions we can use for our coast, and also, of course, looking at the policy framework and planning parameters that we would need to support our work. So for me, specifically, me and my team look at how to formulate policies that we would need, and eventually these policies would translate into legislation which will be passed in the parliament to an act. So back to the question on how my knowledge and skill sets that I've gained from my NTU years have helped me. So I graduated from NTU with a degree in Environmental Earth System Science back in 2020, and it is a 4-year course in total. So I still remember vividly one of my courses or my modules was in geology, in which one of the assignments we had to do was to actually deduce the type of environment that, say, a specific sediment or rock sample was formed in just by looking at its texture, its size, its mineral composition, etc. So this translated to certain critical thinking skills that we would need to have, and it came in very handy in my work now, as we often have to propose policy and formulate different types of proposals that we would need with very little information or reference that we could use, since coastal protection is a very new area in Singapore at this point in time. Yep.
So is Singapore going to be underwater?
Not anytime soon. Yes, it is. As we all know, climate change impacts. One of them is sea level rise, right? It would not happen over time. It would not happen over a day, overnight. But from our projections and stats, what would happen is that by year 2100, we could face up to 1 meter sea level rise, and even more so if we combine certain factors such as the daily high tides, which I believe maybe you have seen from the news that we have some ponding incident at East Coast Park in these few days because of the heavy rain. So when all these factors combine together along with sea level rise impacts, it could go up to 4 to 5 meters. Yep.
Good to know. Right, good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you guys here today. Thank you for spending a Saturday with us. My name is Louisa. I'm the Regional Relationship Manager at Brandywine Global Investment Management. Brandywine Global is actually an asset management company. We are based in the US, in Philadelphia. And what we do is that we manage public equities and fixed income on behalf of institutional investors around the world. My remit here is I am in charge of clients based in Asia, so can be Korea, China, Thailand, Indonesia, and these are your central banks, your sovereign wealth fund, your pension funds, and even your endowment funds, and more recently, like family offices. So we are looking after their investment. We help them invest. And how does my science degree help with my role? And what are the skills and knowledge that I've learned in NTU that is applicable now? I would say it's a lot, but more importantly, and I know this sounds really cliche, is the fact that NTU has really trained me to think very logically, and more importantly, having the ability to communicate my thoughts to investors. This is something that is very valuable to what I'm doing today. And I'll give you an example. So if you open up the newspaper today, you would read that inflation is at decades high. You would read about the Federal Reserve in the US raising interest rate. All of us know that our mortgage rates are increasing. You read about China reopening, China making a U-turn in their COVID policy. You read about Russia-Ukraine war. And so what does all these mean to the financial market? So my job really is to digest the information, work with my investment team, and then advising clients on what they should do to their portfolio and how to stay ahead of the curve. And okay, I'll just give one example just so all of us can kind of be a a bit more on the same page. For example, before China reopened, what we thought was that we told our clients maybe we should start increasing, say, Thai baht position. And then you'll be very surprised, right? What has China's reopening had anything to do with the Thai currency? So what we learned is that a large part of Chinese tourists, they do like to visit Thailand. And that would mean that when China reopens, the demand for Thai baht would increase, and hence Thai baht would then appreciate. So by being early in the game, you tend to be able to gain when Thai baht appreciates, and that would be good for the institutional portfolios. And that's just one very simple example on what we do. But I guess in NTU, the rigor of learning, the opportunities we are given at NTU, at the end of the day, has really taught me how to learn, if that makes sense. Because I feel like prior to NTU, when I was doing my O levels and A levels, it's a lot of rote learning, it's a lot of memorizing. Like, you know, all our favorite 10-year series, you know, just do it 10 times and hopefully cross your fingers. Maybe 80% of the final exam would turn out similar to that. But I guess in university it's just a bit harder because of the rigor, the curriculum. And what really, really was important is the fact that you need to be able to understand concepts, theories, and then apply it to real life. And this is exactly what's happening in the real world. Like, my clients come to me with a problem, and I need to apply what I've learned and give them solutions. There's no 10-year series to that. And for that, I'm really thankful that my science degree has trained me well.
Thank you, Louisa. It's very interesting to hear about your current jobs, but what about some of the other jobs that you were in right after graduating?
I can go. So for myself, after graduation, so I'm quite fortunate to earn my degree in a 3.5 years program. It's called the Accelerated Bachelor's Program. So that allowed me to have the last half of the year to explore, to find out what I want to do. And I think for me, I was pretty clueless at that time. I didn't know what to do. I think like for several students as well, I think we just ended our series of education. And I tried out different kinds of internships, for example, in the pharmaceutical industries like Abbott Laboratories, as well as Friesland Campina, but doing different kinds of functions. For example, in Friesland, I was doing research, dry lab research. And then for Abbott Laboratories, I was doing marketing. And that's when I realized that I really love marketing. And I think for science, it is a full funnel course. So you can think of science as a research where you go to the labs doing your research and experiments. But then at the same time, when you think of the end goal, you want to bring out the products that maybe the companies have been working on for several years and then pushing it out to the consumers. In how do you translate it to layman terms? For example, like just now I mentioned niacinamide, how do you translate that into a benefit for the consumer to get? So that's when I realized that marketing is something which I want to pursue. And I went into L'Oreal as my first job doing digital marketing management trainee. So you might think like digital marketing is pretty interesting and like different from science. And like what Louisa has mentioned, I think the logical, the meticulous, the critical thinking actually helped me gain that job there. To be honest, I was the only science degree student which got the management trainee program, and I think that actually accounts to NTU teaching me the different kinds of skill sets, soft skills and hard skills, allowing me to get that job.
I can go next. So I really knew I wanted to stay in research after my graduation because of the final year project that I did in NTU. I remember, so final year project is like sort of the culmination of all the things that you've learned, and then you apply them into research, real world research. And I remembered the feeling of elation and satisfaction when you invented something completely new, completely novel. And that feeling really drove me to stay in research. So my first job was actually all thanks to NTU's career services. So they organized a mass interview and mass aptitude test for Procter & Gamble to join the company as a researcher. So that was my first job. After I passed the interview, the test, I got into P&G, and I continued the research that I was doing, which was on biomass in Procter & Gamble. and it was to convert biomass into plastics to make their plastic bottles more sustainable, coming from renewable resource. So it was a very fulfilling kind of work, because you know that you're contributing to ESG. Afterwards, I realized that I wanted to go even deeper into research, and that's why I pursued a PhD. And that PhD eventually launched me in my research career. So I'd say that everything really boils down to that final year project, where it gave me the satisfaction and just that feeling of passion and elation.
You. All right, then we'll move on to the next question. We would love to hear a few memorable and unique experiences during your undergraduate education in NTU.
Yes, I can start. For me, what was memorable was actually my time on campus. So I lived in hall, and it's actually something that I really encourage everyone to try out. It is a very different experience. For me, it was my first time living outside of my house, like my parents' home at least. And NTU is sufficiently far enough to be an excuse to live on campus. And the whole campus life is so vibrant. Like all the time, you have friends around you, you study together, you party together. And you party till like 4 a.m. and then you go for 8:30 classes with Prof Chong and pretend that you actually had a good night of sleep. Those were really, really good times, if I may say. And also I met my husband in hall. So you see, you really make lifetime connections. And I guess like what Prof Chong also said, NTU is really like a village. It's quite self-sufficient in itself. You get facilities, you libraries, supermarket. And I believe like for first year students, you are guaranteed a space in hall, right? It's part of growing up. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it definitely sounds very exciting. Anyone else?
I think for me, like one of my key highlights was going for an exchange program. So I was quite fortunate to be able to go to outside of Singapore, UCLA actually, in Los Angeles to do my exchange program. It was a 5-6 months, 1 semester course. And I think that was the time which I realized that going out to really study in another university gives me a different perspective, a different horizon. And I took different kinds of courses there, like for example, marine biology, which is not commonly offered in Singapore, and as well as architecture, which is a completely different elective or completely different things that I'm studying. So I think that allowed me to think differently. And you can see even the students there, they study differently as well. They know how to party hard, they know how to study hard as well. So I think that allowed me to look at the different education systems that other countries are providing. And I think as what Louisa has mentioned, going out of your comfort zone and staying out of your own home, Singapore, also allow you to see how things are like differently. So I think that was my key highlight in university life.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Does anyone else want to go?
Perhaps I'll just add on to what Prof Chong has also briefly mentioned in his slides just now. So in my course in the Environmental Earth Systems Science degree program, we do have opportunities to go on field trips to different countries, regardless of which specializations you are in. So for me at least, I get to go on field trip at least once a year, and it would be during our semester break or our year-end holiday period. So the main highlight of this course for me is actually going on such field trips, and it's also what has attracted me to join this degree program in the first place. So for myself, the most memorable trip that I've been to is to the one in US, which I've went to in my 3rd year of study in university. So we had the opportunity to have a month-long trip to the US, where we spend most of our time camping outside, and only for around 2 days a week, then we'll go back to civilization and sort of relax and refresh ourselves. So the purpose of these field trips is actually to give us a chance to apply what we have learned in the classrooms to the outside world. So we will experience things such as field mapping, learning how to read the compass even, how to navigate yourself across the huge area that with a lot of geological formations that we have learned in school. And for different specializations, they would have different countries catered to them as well. So I understand my friends and schoolmates from the ecology specialization, they went to other countries with a very rich forest ecology there. Yep.
That sounds amazing. Are there any other takers for the question?
I think I can try to add to that. So during my undergraduate, I really utilized a lot of the resources that NTU had to offer. I wasn't that fun in hall, but I took part in stuff like the minor in entrepreneurship. I joined student clubs. Also started my own student club. I was really interested in green tech. And then there's the Energy Research Institute at NTU. So there's really a lot of opportunities for you to make use of your time in NTU.
Thank you, Daniel. We have come up to the end of the sharing session. Thank you, Prof. Chong, and all the alumni speakers for sharing your interesting experiences and inspiring and valuable advice. Hopefully what they've shared may apply to those of you who are looking to join the College of Science family in the coming years. Now we have come to our Q&A session. If you look at the screen, we have a QR code for Slido. If you have any questions for the alumni or Prof. Chong, please go ahead and scan the QR code and submit your questions. We also have microphones set up for you if you wish to come up and pose questions to our alumni. We will do our best to answer as many of them as we can. All right, so I think we already have some questions to start the ball rolling. Are there any clubs or societies in university that you would recommend joining? This is an interesting one.
So maybe I'll take a stab at this question. So I think one thing good about coming to NTU is that there are many different clubs and societies that you can join, and there is definitely one for every interest group. And if you do not find it, you can always start your own. So one of the club that I would recommend joining is Student Union, or actually there is a shop which is managed by the Student Union called U Shop. So why would I recommend this club is because you will get some entrepreneurial experience when you are managing the club, because you are actually managing a physical shop. So you will need to know like the day-to-day, you need to manage the finances, you need to know what to order and all that. So it gives you a little bit of experience of being an entrepreneur. And taking that experience, you can actually go out and start your own business, and you can always use that always use that experience for managing your own projects.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to answer the question? All right. So I guess the next question would be, are there any internship opportunities? Did you have to source them for yourself, or were they gotten through the school? And what was life as an intern like?
I'll just get the ball rolling on this. Yes, there will be internship opportunities. And in fact, starting from 2 years ago, going for an internship is going to be a standard part of NTU undergraduate experience. So all students that are matriculating, this was not the case for some of our alumni here, but now, from now, all students that are matriculate to do an undergraduate degree will either have to take a short internship or a longer internship. It depends on which one you choose, can depend on your degree program, whether you do a final year project, but you will have at least have one internship experience. this is for various reasons. It's important to understand industry, the workplace, no matter what you decide to do after getting your degree. Also, it opens up more opportunities for you. So, for example, statistics show that after doing an internship, about 1/3 of the internship hosts actually offer a follow-on employment offer. Of course, you don't have to say yes, but it's a good additional way to get an employment offer soon after graduation. So, do you have the source for these internships by yourself? You do not. So the NTU Careers and Attachment Office actually has a very big operation running, because as you can imagine, right, every NTU student has to do at least one internship. So actually they have this centralized, they act as a kind of a clearinghouse or marketplace where a lot of big companies in Singapore, or even in some cases smaller companies like startups, actually go to the NTU Careers and Attachment Office, say we have this number of internship placements, then they compile a database, and as somebody who is looking for an internship, the students will go on to and basically then you still have to go through the procedure of write up your CV, submit the CV, and the companies will still match you. Will still have to select you. But anyway, there will be several rounds of this kind of matchmaking. Students also have the chance to source for internships themselves without going through this centralized system. And almost always the Careers and Attachment Office, if it's a reasonable thing, they will say yes. They will agree to their internship placement. And in fact, some of the most interesting internship placements come from this, like the student themselves have some connections or they have some interest and they kind of find something for themselves without relying on NTU's own system. As for this question of what life as an intern is like, I wonder if any of our alumni went for internships during their time.
Yes, I can add to that. So for me, like during my time, internship was not a requirement for matriculation. So what I did was I actually sourced for a 8 months internship that was at OCBC Bank. But one thing I'm very thankful for to NTU was the flexibility that they allowed me. So I took a semester off in my final year. I think it was year 4, semester 1. And I spent the entire 8 months working, interning. And I was still able to graduate on time with the rest of my peers. And that internship experience was really helpful because it allowed me to see firsthand what was it like in the finance banking sector. I was able to tell what I like and what I do not prefer. And so in my final semester, when I was doing my final exam, I was also concurrently looking for a job. And that internship referral was actually very important, or rather it came in very useful when applying for roles. And I think the next question was, are you able to get a job immediately after graduation? So I was the lucky few who was able to get a job before graduating. So it really made taking the final exam a lot less stress-free. And I guess the other question, how do you increase your chances at securing a job while in school? It is really to get an internship. And I guess when you are interning, do not just stay within your department. It's like you already have a foot in the door with a corporate. Just go make friends, network with different departments, understand fully what each department is doing, what you like, do not like. And I feel like there's no hurry in like trying to complete your degree on time. I mean, we really have like a lifetime ahead of us to work. Just take your time while in school to explore your different interests. I think that would really kind of find you a job that you like upon graduation.
Thank you. That was very insightful. Does anyone else want to answer the most popular question at the moment? Did you manage to get a job immediately after graduating? How did you increase your chances of securing a job while still in school, other than doing an internship?
Okay, I can go. I think for me, touching back on previously the question as well, so the internship part, I was very fortunate to actually graduate half a year earlier, so that it allowed me to actually have some time to find my job and at the same time do the internships that I want to try out. So when I was doing the internships, I was also trying to find what are the jobs that I want to do. And I know like some people might be scared, what's the job process like? It's very long. You have to go through a lot of interviews, which is true. I went to a couple of job interviews, didn't do well, and that's when I learned that, okay, I need to step up my game. What are the things that I need to do in the interview? And I think that kind of people relationships is very important in the interview, and that's what I learned in my internships. Because I think when I first stepped into internship, I learned how to be like a young adult. I have to talk to like our clients, I have to talk to like the different team members in a team. How do I work with my boss? And I think that allowed me to get the soft skills to do well in interviews, and that's when I managed to clinch the first job that I had before graduation. So I had the time to try out and buffer myself what to do during then. And I think, yeah, so during the internship, that allowed me to gain my skill sets and then secure the job before my graduation.
Let me add on a bit more about this question. So for me, I actually got a job immediately after graduating. And how I did increase my chances is actually to use the career office resources. So the career office actually organizes career fairs every year. I think there's a couple every year, like 2 or 3. So how I got my job is actually when I attended one of these career fairs, I spoke to one of the employers at one of their booths, and this was actually not my first choice as an employer. I was trying out other companies, and I finally decided, okay, maybe I will try out this company as well, since they actually offered a program that was attractive to me. And other ways of increasing your chances of securing a job is to actually start earlier. So I actually started job searching half a year before I graduated, and that actually increased my chances. So during my graduation year, it was actually the COVID year, and many of my peers actually took some time to find a job. But because I started at a much earlier time, I was able to secure something before them, and it actually helped that career office was also giving resources such as resume writing workshops, networking workshops. So all this actually adds up and would help you to get a job easily.
Thank you. So the next question I would say would be, what makes NTU science faculty stand out from other faculties?
Question was, what does stand out for other universities' degrees? So I'm not 100% sure whether I'm supposed to be comparing us to other universities, or comparing NTU science to a different faculty. But okay, let me try to take a wild stab at this. Okay, so a few things. So first of all, NTU College of Science, the individual schools are not that big, not compared to, for example, even NTU's College of Engineering or NUS Faculty of Engineering. Because of that, we are quite closely knit. And if you actually kind of ask around, a lot of people actually one or two professors do well. The professors also do put quite a lot of time and effort into interacting with the students, mentoring students, and so forth. And making sure the students do receive a good experience. And I know from being on this side, on the educator side, that really many of my colleagues put a lot of time and effort into this. It's really a concern for us. Also, the other aspect of this is in terms of kind of the quality of the science that you're learning. I can really attest to the fact that NTU by now is one of the leading research universities in the world. So if you, I don't like to bring up rankings and stuff like that, but you can go up and look around for subject rankings, research strength rankings. NTU is really up there. I know from looking at my own field of physics, the quality of the professors coming in, you really will be educated by people who are at the forefront of driving forward the very subject that they are teaching to you. So they are not just passive, passive bystanders. They are actually developing. They are some of the world's leading experts in developing the knowledge that they are transmitting to you. But there are many ways to answer this question. So does anybody else want to say anything on?
So to add on to Prof. Chong's point about being a closely knit community, I also felt that during my undergrad years because I'm actually Prof. Chong's student. So what I would say is if you really want to get better, you need more help. When you ask the professor, they will actively help you and they will actually go out of their way to open their office even after their working hours to actually help you with your issues and any problems that you may not be able to solve. So I think the support system within the NTU science faculty is actually very strong.
I should also mention that the student leaders in our College of Science actually put a lot of time and effort into making things better for their fellow students. So especially during COVID, when there was a lot of disruption, some of our students, including international students who had lost housing, but there were a lot of, even among Singaporeans and PRs, there were a lot of various kind of very random problems, and the student representatives really, really put in a lot of time to help them. So you could really also see the community spirit from that.
Can I just add also that cross-disciplinary is the future, and I think at NTU Science faculty, what I notice is that a lot of subjects are now cross-disciplinary, so like chemistry and chemical engineering, physical and mathematical sciences, a tinge of biology on both sides. So yeah, so it's I think NTU Science faculty has been quite forward-looking in that sense.
Thank you. Those answers are very helpful. I'm sure that would give our audience here a lot of clarity when they decide what schools they want to go to. So the next question that people have for us is, what are the benefits of taking a double major program versus taking just a single major?
I will start with this. This is a very common question. Okay, so first of all, there's double major and also second major. Okay, so second major is about 50% more work roughly than single major, and the double major is about 75%, not exactly 2 times the amount of work because some courses count for both. Often, many academically inclined students who got really good grades in poly or JC want to take a second major or double major for good reason, because essentially it's just the prestige, right? You go out and you say that you can tell your employers that I have skills in both of these disciplines, and this is a very real benefit. This is the main benefit. So, for example, the mathematics and economics degree that Louisa took, right, is a double major program. Okay, and the strength of this is that you have received training in rigorous training in mathematics and also training in economics. So you have skills that regular economists don't have, but you also have kind of the foundational knowledge of economics that mathematicians don't have. Okay, but this is not necessarily the case that if you're a good student, you have to take a second major or double major. Okay, taking a second major or double major, it does require you to take many more courses. The course workload, like I said, is 50% to 75% higher. This precludes some of the other things that you could be spending your time on, including possibly putting a lot of time into undergraduate research, putting a lot of time into extracurricular activities that really could be enriching for you. What's more, there are some programs, like I believe the CN Young Scholars Program. Okay, this I'm not sure. There are some programs that actually are not open to second major or double major program recipients because they also tack on additional commitments on top of the single major that are impossible to fulfill because you're spending all your time on second major and double major. Okay, many of our graduates just take, the vast majority of our graduates take the single major program. Many of them go on to perfectly good jobs including cross-disciplinary jobs. Okay, so it's very much a choice. It's up to you to weigh the pros and cons of a single major versus a second major or double major program.
Yes, I can add to that. So for me, the reason why I took a double major program was not a great reason. It was because I did not know what I wanted to do when I was your age, right? I was like, okay, I graduated from JC, what should I do now? Maybe I should just do like math and econs because I don't know what I want to do, and this kind of opens up my option. And while that is true, because eventually I found that while I can do mathematics, it's something that I excel in. It's not necessarily something that I want to make a living for. Like I found it, it's not something that excites me a lot every day. It doesn't give me as much energy as economics gave me. So at the end of the day, I chose the route of economics, but obviously with like the mathematical fundamental, it really helps in my understanding. And I guess to Prof. Chong's point about having heavier commitment and workload, that is true. And sometimes when I am like, I remember when I was in university, I was a bit jealous of like my friends who were taking a single major because they could take very interesting modules like astrology, and there were like some sports modules, I mean basketball,
Astronomy.
netball.
We don't have
Oh,
courses in
okay,
astrology.
astronomy. Yeah, so I mean it's subjects that were very different from like the core subject you were taking. But for me, most of my extra units were economics units. So it just felt a bit less interesting. Not to say I don't enjoy it, I enjoy it fully. And if I were given an opportunity to re-choose again, I would still do my double major program.
Thank you. I think your answers gave our audience insights on both sides, so it's a very balanced view on that subject. The next question is, how has the curriculum of the chemistry majors changed after the school split off from the School of Physics and Mathematical Sciences?
It hasn't changed. That's the short answer. It is still the same curriculum.
All
This is
right.
This is an internal reorganization. The chemistry professors are still teaching chemistry. Chemical engineering professors are still teaching chemical engineering. Down the line, maybe they might switch things around a little bit. For example, there's some discussion of the chemistry professors teaching basic chemistry for both the chemistry and the chemical engineering students. But this is down the line. This has not happened yet. So for now, essentially the curriculum is still the same. It's still the same chemistry and biological chemistry curriculum.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, we can move on.
All right. So, okay, the next question is, do you need to study biology in JC to get into the School of Biological Science? If not, are there any bridging program? And if I'm not wrong, there was also a question earlier about whether you need to do geography to get into earth sciences. So maybe we can answer those questions simultaneously.
Yeah, I can go for this for biological science. So I graduated from SBS, School of Biological Science. If I remember correctly, you do not need you do not need to study biology in JC to get into biological science, because there are also intro to biology when you come into the first year in your first semester. So you do not need to be afraid that you do not know the technical things or how does your body works, that kind of thing when you study in JC. So fret not, we have a very long series of curriculum that is very concise, that teaches you how to study from scratch of biology.
So for myself, on the question on whether you would need to take Geog in JC to get into earth science, from my experience, I did not take Geog in JC, so my only Geog experience was back in secondary school, and it was elective Geog, not even like the full Geog. So I don't think it's required even now. Similar to what Vicky has said, for my course, we also do need to go through a fundamental course on Geog before like taking the more advanced courses in the next few years. So it's okay if you did not take Geog in JC. Yeah.
Thank you for the reassurances. All right, so I would say the next question would be, what is one thing you regret not doing in your time at NTU that you wish you had done? And take a while to ponder.
Okay, so maybe let me share a bit. I think the one thing that I regretted is actually not doing internship. So for me, it's not part of my requirement. So I didn't think that doing an internship was important because at that point in time, I was actually doing some business with my friends, and I was having the thought that I don't really actually have to go out and work, so it's not that important. But thinking back, I would have actually done an internship so that I get more experience in the corporate world. And I mean, you regret, but you still have to live with it.
Other takers?
I think for me, one of the biggest regret is not having a CCA in NTU. When I first came in, I remember there's a CCA fair all around NTU halls. Outside, they will show you there's badminton, all kind of sports, music, arts. But I don't know why at the time I didn't went to engage or I went to apply for it. I think that's one of the biggest regret that I have. I was very focused on like SBS as well as the wealth. There's a club there as well, welfare club. So I went into that route instead. But for me, if I look back and what I would have done differently is to go into a sport that I really want to pursue, or even dance, because I had long ago in primary school I was doing tap dance. I would have went for dance to continue my hobby. But yeah, I think looking back, that would be something which I would pursue, CCAs.
Okay, is there anyone else who wants to take this question? Daniel?
No regrets.
Oh, wow. All right, the next question is a science degree, a single science degree, without taking any majors, example, double, second major, still sufficient in securing a job in such a rapidly changing economy?
Yes, this is why we offer it. Yes. And our distinguished alumni here, with the exception of Louisa, took single degree programs, I believe, all of the rest of you, right? Yeah, no, next question, please. No, okay, just
Right,
okay,
no.
more to the point. Okay, let me assure you, okay, you study in one discipline, vast majority of people come out, they will work on something that maybe overlaps a little bit with your area of study, but you can still definitely catch up. Okay, the minority of students actually, you work as a chemist, you come out, you really, you work only as a chemist, but most people, there's some slight overlap, but maybe not entirely. But kind of the soft skills that you learn, as you have been hearing, transfer over perfectly well. So formal training, in many cases, is helpful for getting your foot in the door in some jobs, but it isn't really. People do get by and they go on to very fulfilling careers with a basic single degree. Okay? Let me give you my total assurance on this.
You heard it here first. All right. So, is it hard to find a job in Singapore if I take up a chemistry course?
It's an interesting question. I think the short answer is no. I don't know of any of my friends who have difficulties finding a job because of their chemistry degree. In fact, what I notice is that in the industry, we are in need of people with good, solid technical degree like chemistry. I have friends who have chemistry degrees and then go on to become scientific writers or oil traders. Somehow that's got to do with chemistry as well. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Your degree is really just a license to get you there, and then everything else is up to you.
Maybe you would like to continue by answering the next question to share more about your research life, etc.
Okay. Schedules. Okay. So this, it really depends on how ambitious you are. You are the master of your destiny. If you want to finish certain things within a certain time frame, sometimes you want to push yourself a little harder. Sometimes you want to take it less tough on yourself. So that's up to your personal preference. Outcomes and takeaways. Outcomes. This is the outcome. So what you want out of research is publications and patents and to establish an understanding of the industry so that you can create more ideas and contribute, whether it's to society or to the company that you work for. Takeaways in university. Things that you get in your undergraduate years will be the foundation of your future endeavors. That being said, if you choose to stay in research, you will be exposed to more information outside of what you've learned in NTU. So you also want to be able to figure out how to absorb and find new information, and also to create new information, because that's what research is about. I don't know if I answered your question completely.
I think that was a very well-rounded answer. Thank you very much. All right, the next question is, why did you choose NTU?
Okay, I felt like when I was looking at universities that NTU offered a very holistic program, not just academic, but also non-academic aspects, like for example, CCA, clubs, exchange program, living in hall, and especially like living on campus is not something that every university in Singapore can offer. I didn't want to spend 4 years just studying. I think that is, and I still stand by that there's still a lifetime ahead of you to work, and studying is like the best time of your life. So while you have like this precious 4 years, just live it to the fullest and just venture above. There's more than life to results and academics. The process of completing your degree is actually super fulfilling and fun as well. And I felt that NTU could give me the best opportunity when I like evaluated it holistically.
Very nice answer. Anyone else?
I completely agree with Louisa's point on the holistic education. So NTU is one of the few that actually gives you a guaranteed hall stay in your first year. And I really encourage everyone that actually chooses NTU to go for that, because you would have a much better experience than just studying and not caring about other activities. And the fact that NTU is so far away from civilization actually gives you a much better community, because you are always seeing the same few people. You build stronger bonds, and these are the people that when you go out to work in the future, you can rely on them, because you actually spend 4 years with them and building strong bonds.
Thank you. Vicky, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, when I looked at NTU, I went to the open house. I went to look at all the different courses, and I felt like there's a holistic, like you mentioned, a whole range of courses that you can take. At the same time, it is also about having that bond. When I went there, I felt like it was very homey. The student leaders there were very welcoming. The CCAs there were vibrant. So, and also the university exchange programs are also a myriad of possibilities. So I think when I look at the holistic thing, the whole thing, I realized that that is also what I want to do. And I want my 4 years to be something fun. I do not want to just waste it on just doing something like just exams every day. So I think looking at that, that's the value of a university for me. And I think another bonus point was that I had the opportunity and fortunate to get a scholarship. I think that also helped me in the monetary sense, and how do I make like my buck worth as well to ensure that I get the best of my university life in totality. So I think that for me, NTU was like my #1 choice when I look at the open house, everything, considerations, and when I compare with other universities, I think that's what I want to do in my next 4 years.
Thank you. So we have a bit of a technical question ahead of us. Is it true that NTU's biological science focuses heavily on molecular bio?
Yeah, I guess that's for me. So for molecular biology, it was quite heavily focused on year 2. It was a core module for us. But I would say that in totality, you have 4 years of science, of biological science to play around with. You can choose different modules. There are core ones, there's also elective ones. You can choose, for example, biodiversity. I think there's an ecology and biodiversity module, if I remember correctly, or another like different kinds of electives. So although molecular bio is like core in year 2, but there's year 3, year 1, year 4 that you can choose different kinds of courses. So don't be afraid when you see like molecular bio. And actually it's very fun. You can learn about actually the atoms in your bodies. Okay, I'm not going into too much details, but it's really something that you can look further to explore if you really like that subject in your future career path.
Thank you. All right, why take a science degree to go into data engineering when the route can go straight into data analytics and data science?
Okay, so let me explain why. I mean, during that period when I first was choosing courses, right, data analytics and data science wasn't that hot as it is right now. And my first choice of career wasn't data engineering as well. I was looking to go into quant finance. And from what I knew, quant finance took in a lot of physics grads because of how physics grads are actually trained. So data engineering is just a subset of it, and I kind of stumbled into this career, and it's not something that was my first choice.
All right. So I think that's all the time we have for questions. But I do have one last question for our speakers here. I think it would be fitting to end off with any advice or words of wisdom that you may have for our prospective students.
Okay, maybe let me just start off. So there are some questions on Slido that we didn't get to answer that are related to admissions. Like, do you need this subject to enter that program? So for this, please email us. Actually, on the NTU webpage, there's a place. If you just go to the homepage, you scroll down, there's a place for you to ask any admissions-related question that you have. This will go straight to our admissions office, who will get back to you with like the official reply, totally correct and checked. So please do avail yourself of this resource if we didn't get the chance to answer your question today. Yeah, but okay.
I can go first. So my advice would be to take your time to really look at all the courses that College of Science has to offer, and also even other colleges in NTU. They have a variety and a range of courses and degree programs that you can explore and venture into. And also do take the time to go down to our open house in February, and as I believe that it's a very good chance for you to look at the facilities we have to offer, the lab facilities, our classrooms, our hall, our other facilities, the sports facilities as well. And I believe that each school, usually they will have a tour around the school to bring you around and see what it is actually like to study and to live there even. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go next. My advice is actually just to keep an open mind and be open to failures. So when you are going into the university, you are actually at the period of your life where you get to meet a lot of like-minded people. And this is the period where you actually have a safety net and you do not have to worry about your failures. You can fail and then you still can try again. This is something that you do not really get when you start working. So I will encourage everyone to just go out, try whatever you want, and even if you fail, at least you get the experience. So for me, during my undergrad days, I actually tried doing business with my friends. It didn't work out, but that experience actually gave me insights into how I can build a business in the future. And also, it also gave me some soft skills which actually help in my current job, because I'm able to communicate better and I'm able to understand the bigger picture, which when you are working at a junior level, you may not be able to see the big picture, but being someone that actually had entrepreneurship experience, you tend to have a big picture thinking, which will actually help you in giving purpose to what your day-to-day.
Well, for me, I think have fun. It's so important to just have fun and enjoy the process. You are at the prime of your life. The world's your oyster. And like what Mr. Daniel said, you are the master of your own destiny, right? So, I mean, it's really the best time. This 4 years, you are free to reign. You can choose what you want to do, what you don't want to do. But more importantly, the people around you, these are the people you're going to rely on. I would say that I spent a lot of time in university, in hall, making new friends and joining different activities. And right now, 10 years into my career, these are the people who end up to be my client or my counterpart in another firm. And then we come together, we share information. And these connections really, really are what are my best takeaways from university. So, and I would say that, these are not the people who I study with in tutorial. I honestly cannot remember more than half of what I learned in university when it comes to very technical kind of knowledge. Like if you ask me to take an exam now, I'll probably flunk it. But if you ask me what are the good times I had with person XYZ, I would be able to tell you. And right now I'll tell you that, hey, we are actually doing proper business together. We are helping each other as we accelerate in our career. And yeah, I think that's something that's very valuable.
In the same spirit of having fun and taking risks, I think you should take advantage of everything that NTU has to offer if you choose to come. Abuse the system. Just take away as much as you can. Join all the different programs. There's the research programs, but there's also things like Public Policy Challenge and all that, organized by Career Services. There's a lot of things that you can get done in NTU during your undergraduate days, and just take full advantage of it.
I think everyone has said it all, but I think one advice, it would be very hard to sum up everything that we have been through. But I mean, you guys, you have extroverts. Extroverts will want to explore more about what NTU has to offer, go and engage with connections, go and make relationships. I think during this time also for introverts, you can also think introspectively, what do you want to do next in your next journey? Try out different internships, see what do you want to do, what is your passion point? And ultimately, regardless of who you are, I think this 4 years of life journey is a life experience. You really want to make use of everything that you can, be it FYPs, final year projects, internships, your CCAs, making friends, lessons learned, make friends with your professors. I think these are all the life experience that make sure that you pay the value of the university. This is what is the value of the university, which is everything summing up as a holistic package. So I think for me, it's really about having that life experience in NTU that brings me value. And I think as advice, is really to explore and try out everything.
Thank you, everyone. Please join me in thanking our speakers for sharing their experiences and answering our questions. And that brings us to the end of our event. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join us, both here at the Jordan Hall and virtually. Scan the QR code up on the screen to follow our social media accounts or ask us any questions. And if you wish to find out more about NTU or the College of Science, join us for NTU's open house that is coming in February. There will be a virtual one on 11th February and a physical one on 25th February. We hope to see you joining our college in the future. This was Sravni. Thank you once again, and we hope to see you soon.